June 17. 431 B.C. The dictator Tubertus Posthumus gained a victory over the Chian Volsci, inconsiderable but noxious enemies of the Commonwealth. 1081. Robert Guiscard opened the famous siege of Durazzo, now in European Turkey, on the Gulf of Venice. 1272. An attempt made to assassinate Edward I of England in his tent at Acre, by a messenger of the Emir of Joppa. He received a blow on his arm, grappled with the assassin, and throwing him on the ground dispatched him with his own dagger. The life of the prince was saved by his wife, who sucked the poison from the wound. 1458. Alfonso V, of Aragon the Magnanimous, died. He made himself master of Naples in Sicily. Aside from his exploits as a warrior, he was a learned man and the patron of learning, and the father of his people. 1614. William Bathe, an Irish Jesuit, died. He was rector of an Irish school at Salamanca, and a writer on music and divinity. 1639. The king and his Scottish subjects met at Duns, in Scotland, and agreed that matters ecclesiastical should be decided by an assembly, civil matters by Parliament. 1658. Dunkirk surrendered to the French, and by them put into the hands of the English. 1673. Father Marquette, and Joliet, a citizen of Quebec, employed by M. Talon for the discovery of the Mississippi, entered that noble river. They descended to within 3 days' journey of the Gulf of Mexico. 1685. The unfortunate Duke of Argyll taken in a morass. 1696. John Sobieski, King of Poland, died. He distinguished himself on many occasions in the Polish Wars, but the greatest of his exploits was the raising of the Siege of Vienna, by which Europe was saved from the calamities consequent upon an eruption of the Turks. 1719. Joseph Addison, editor of The Spectator, died. He was the ornament of his age and country, and his writings will long continue to be read and admired. 1734. Louis Hector Villars, peer of France, died, aged 82. He early adopted the profession of arms, and distinguished himself through a long life as a brave and efficient officer. 1740. William Wyndham, an eminent English statesman, died. His abilities led to his promotion to the highest offices in the state. 1745. Louisbourg, Cape Breton, taken from the French by the British and Massachusetts forces, under Governor Shirley and Admiral Sir Peter Warren. 1761. The first English navigation canal opened, extending from Worsley to Manchester, 18 miles. It originated with Scroop, Duke of Bridgewater. 1775. Battle of Bunker's Hill, and burning of Charlestown by the British. The Americans were defeated with the loss of 453 killed, wounded and missing. The killed and those who died of their wounds were 139, including General Warren. British loss, 1,054, of whom 226 were killed, and among them Colonel Abercrombie and Major Pitcairn, who occasioned the first shedding of blood at Lexington. 1776. British transports, George and Arabella, captured in Boston Bay by 6 American privateers. Among the prisoners taken was the Honorable Archibald Campbell and 271 Highlanders. 1780. Bank opened in Philadelphia for supplying the army with provisions, and £189,000 subscribed, payable in gold and silver. 1788. Convention at Poughkeepsie, New York, to consider the federal constitution. 1789. The Tiers Etat of France were joined by the whole body of inferior clergy with some nobles. They constituted themselves into a legislative body, and took the name of National Assembly. 1791. Selina, Countess of Huntington, died. From habits of gaiety and dissipation, she became suddenly grave and pious, and was distinguished by very extensive charities. 1792. Battle of Zeeland, in which the Polish army was defeated by a superior force of Russians. The action lasted from 7 in the morning till 5 in the evening. Loss of the Russians 4,000, that of the Poles 1,100. 1794. Ypres, in Belgium, surrendered to the French under Moreau. 4 battalions of Austrians, 6 of Hessians, 2 of Baden, 200 horse chasseurs, 150 Austrian cannoneers were taken prisoners, with 140 cannon. 1799. First day's Battle of the Trebia, between the French under MacDonald, and the Russians and Austrians under Suwarrow. 1807. Königsberg, the capital of Prussia proper, taken by the French under Soult. Immense stores, with nearly 300 loaded vessels, 160,000 stand of arms, etc., were taken. 1810. James Chalmers, printer to the City and University of Aberdeen, and proprietor of the Aberdeen Journal, died. 1812. The Decameron of Boccaccio, a single-volume small folio, printed in 1471, sold at the sale of the Duke of Roxburgh's library to the Marquis of Blandford, for £2,260. 1814. Henry Tresham died. An Irish poet and painter of merit. 1815. The Allied army under Wellington fell back on Waterloo, and Blucher to waver. The Earl of Uxbridge made a brilliant charge of cavalry at Gamap. 1815. British Order in Council, forbidding the Americans to use the British territories for purposes connected with the Newfoundland fisheries. 1825. Cornerstone of Bunker Hill Monument laid with great and enthusiastic ceremonies, Lafayette being present. 1839. William Bentinck, an English statesman, died. He had sustained many high public offices, was a general in the army, and 10 years Governor-General of India. 1850. The steamer Griffith on Lake Erie was burned and 300 lives lost. 1852. Thomas Buffum died, aged 75, an active man in the political history of Rhode Island, who had filled with credit many offices of honor and trust. 1852. John Trimble, a Kentucky judge, died, aged 69, having sustained the character of an able and upright man. 1852. William King, first governor of Maine, died, aged 84. He removed to Bath early in the present century, and his name is identified most intimately with all that relates to the separation from Massachusetts, and the adoption of the state constitution. He held various civil offices with ability and fidelity. 1852. The city of Sonora, in California, was nearly destroyed by fire. 1854. Seward Barkillo, a New York jurist of distinction, died, aged 50. He was chosen Justice of the Supreme Court at the first judicial election held under the new state constitution. 1854. Josiah Holbrook, a distinguished advocate of popular education, died, aged 65. He was a native of Derby, Connecticut, and graduated at Yale College in 1910. He was very successful in diffusing among the young a love for the study of mineralogy and geology. He lost his life by accidentally falling into Black Rock Creek, near Lynchburg, Virginia, while on a geological excursion.